Hi, I'm Mark Scherer, and this is the Wellness Revolution. And what we're doing here with the Wellness Revolution is we're showcasing people who are in the health industry and are making a difference with bringing a new way of restoring ease and health to the body. Today, we have Tyrell Johnson, and he's from Portland, Oregon, and he's a chiropractor. And I've just been speaking with him a little bit, and the guy's got a lot of passion for what he's doing. So, looking forward to sharing what he's doing with you. So, Tyrell, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a family man initially. I got into chiropractics thinking that I was going to operate like the chiropractor that treated me. And it's been a little bit of a journey to jump from manual chiropractic to what I do now, which is an Atlas Orthogonal Technique. I studied a sports master's program and thought I was really going to go down that road and work with athletes. Turns out I didn't enjoy that much. And here I am now with my ideal patient being industrial athletes, I call them. So the Jacks and Janes of the world who go to work and use their body to produce their income. And they can certainly have many hiccups or injuries along the way. And I found some good ways to take care of them, particularly the more elaborate cases that deal with chronic conditions like headaches, migraines, post-concussion syndrome, dizziness, things that are actually keeping people from being at work.
What had you choose chiropractic?
I started in geology and was
Wow.
having a really good time working far from home, but had my first child and I went, I hadn't officially been to school to be a geologist, but had invitations to do that. And as I would get home to my family, I went, I like being active. I like using my hands to produce my work, but I want to be home with my crew at the end of every day, especially as we had our first son. And so when I decided to go to school, I knew this was what I wanted to do and just hit the ground running, and got through undergrad and got through chiropractic program and did a master's in sports medicine. And here I am loving what I do.
So, did you have an experience with chiropractic growing up, or you just did it cold turkey?
I did a couple experiences that shaped me. One, it's kind of a silly story. My dad had a punching bag in the garage, a big heavy bag just chained up to the ceiling, and us kids would play on it. And one time it was swinging and I thought, I'm going to hit this thing with my head, just headbutt it and stop it. Well, it's like a 90-pound bag. And I was like a 90-pound kid and just sprained my neck and kinked it over sideways. And I went to the chiropractor and I was just fascinated that in just a couple visits, he just did his manual adjusting. And I was literally sprained out. I couldn't hold my neck up. And like that same week, I could hold my head up again. And I was just fascinated. It
Yeah.
lived in the back of my mind. And then my mother worked for a chiropractor a couple of years. So we'd go see him off and on, bumps, bruises, injuries. And it just always helped.
Yeah.
And so that lived in the back of my mind down that geology pathway. I just kept coming back to me like, wow, what a fascinating career.
Yeah.
And so now I get to sit here and do it every day.
That's cool, man. And so, how long have you had your practice?
I've been in business 8 years. I joined my business partner who's been in it 10 years now, almost 11. And I met him. He's the one that introduced me to this Atlas Orthogonal Technique. He'd learned it from the gentleman he bought the business from. And he was kind of just in-house taught. And so we're taking care of a few patients. And as we both started to be drawn to it and go, hey, this is really helping people, we should get serious about this. We both went and did all the master's classes and got board certified in it together. And so we've been doing that together for about the last 7 years.
Awesome. And can you tell a little bit about the procedure and
Yeah.
maybe some of the wins you've had with it too, like some of the symptoms coming in and how quickly it works?
I have some beautiful examples, and there's definitely a range of how quick it can work. But the process is a new patient comes in. We're trying to get through a new patient intake into treatment on the first day. We find that can be valuable, especially as people travel for care and such. But we take our interview, we take a set of x-rays, and we do measurements on those. And so depending on how far off their neck is or what issue they have, If they're a candidate for this technique, we proceed with that. And it's a machine that does the adjustment. And just for camera's sake, usually we lay on our side, but there's a little stylus, kind of like my finger, that comes in under here. And we get a deep pressure onto the lateral aspect of that C1, or our Atlas first vertebrae. And it does the impulse to do the adjustment. And so it's a pretty simple technique. And the hang up of it is it depends on how people respond, how locked in their bodies are to their misalignment. And so sometimes it can be as quick as a one-hit wonder. I have 6 of those in my career so far. And then others, it just takes time. We kind of coach it in. We start into an exercise program to strengthen around it. Some things that have just floored me. One gal had come in, we did our workup. We talked about a lot of her neck pain, and it would radiate into her head, severe headaches, like 20, 25 years of this. And we sat her up on the table, and she was looking out the window that's just past the table. And my office manager brings her dog to work. And she was taking a potty across in this lawn across the way. And this lady goes, "I can see that woman's face." I said, "We didn't talk about anything with your vision. What are you talking about?" "So I can't usually tell who people are till they cross the street and are, half a street from me." She goes, "She's all the way across the parking lot. It's probably like 40 yards. And she says, "I can see her face. I can tell she has eyeballs and a nose and that her hair is brown." And I just was, I don't know, those are moments that kind of send the tinglies up your back. And I'm like, holy smokes, what am I doing with this? It's even more than I initially thought. And that was just such an enlightening experience, kind of a turning point in my career where I really said, holy smokes, I've got something here that can really alter and change lives. Outside of that case, another one that I was still just in the clinic, shadowing in school, watching Dr. Cooper do his thing here. And a lady had come in who was dizzy, and she refused to have help getting down the hall, but she held this wall down the hall. And she got to the machine. They'd had a couple sessions together, and she knew that this was what worked for her. And she said, "Put me on that table and give me my adjustment." And she laid down. He stuck that little stylus in at the measurements she needed. And it's a little button we push. Tap. Machine goes off. She goes, "Yep, you got it." She sat up, walked straight down the hall, not holding the wall anymore, and said to the front desk lady, "You got my credit card on file. We'll see you next time. I hope I don't need you soon."
Wow.
And that woman
So
would
it's
drive
a percussion?
Essentially, yeah. It's a little spring-loaded instrument that comes down. It hits with 5.5 pounds of force. And as long as I've got enough pressure in behind on the lateral aspect, that force can transfer. And so part of it, I brought a little model here. This is our first vertebrae. It's kind of a funny shaped vertebrae. It lives right up. If I open my mouth, it's back there in the back of my neck, just below my ears. And as long as I can get on the tip of that, I can make an adjustment. And if it's misplaced in a way it needs help, all the things it can relieve are really pretty fascinating.
I imagine it's begging to go back into place.
On some cases, you can just feel it, like it, we just tap it, and we don't see very much of each other on those cases because it wants to be there.
Yeah.
And then others, when somebody was injured as a child and they've gotten into their 40s or 50s before we cross paths, it kind of developed around that. And those are the more difficult ones that take some work sometimes.
Yeah, the chronic use to the I guess being in the pain and building up protection around it to stabilize it to where it can operate in that area.
Our muscles have a memory to them. And so sometimes it's a habit that holds it there, or maybe this is where it crosses into the path of work you do, where they've got something that's holding it in there and we have to coach it out of it. So sometimes that process can be a long time, but most people are really seeing results within 4, 8, or 12 visits is my checkpoints. Wow. If I'm not seeing anything change in 4 visits, we start having some frank conversations about, do you need to try something different?
Yeah. So what type of patients do you really love working with?
Industrial athletes, I've found, are genuinely my passion. It mixes my world and my background of the chiropractic care, this technique, and then sports and exercise science.
Gotcha.
Really.
So if you were going to send a message to somebody listening to me, that listen to the show, so if you're in an industry where you're using your body frequently and you're becoming accustomed to or getting fed up with the pain you've been doing, maybe you've tried a few other things. Yeah, maybe you have people who've tried other things.
I have a few.
I'm doing your sales. Still doing your sales
Yeah,
pitch
well,
for you
I
here.
have a few examples of people that I really, really enjoy who have kind of become friends over the years, and they pop in and see me as needed at this point. But one's an insurance salesman, and I thought, boy, what a weird industrial athlete. He sits at his computer most of the time. He runs to the coffee shop, has a meeting with a client. He's back on his computer. Maybe he stays there. Maybe he goes to his home office or his office. But a lot of his time is spent head on the phone, and he was just dealing with headache, shoulder pain up the side. And we just kind of found the system that works well for him. We adjust his neck, we adjust his shoulder, we might adjust his back, some muscle work, and he can run along and do his job just fine. Another gentleman that I crossed paths with, probably my second year in, he's a plumber. And he's a unique dude. He doesn't touch dirty pipes. He only does plumbing on clean homes, fresh homes. So I say he's kind of a princess in that he won't touch a dirty pipe. But that's a physical job. You're bending over walls and tucking under, crawling under houses. And despite him picking the cleanest of the work, it is very physical. And so we're able to keep his body tuned up in a way that he functions, he earns his income, he does very well, and he does it feeling well. And so I love finding those people. Today on my table, I had a gal that works for the state patrol here, and she came in, she was running, trying to get back into shape, doing those things. The body just ached. Today I saw her and she goes, I don't really have a complaint. We're just maintenance. And we haven't known each other for an extended amount of time, but maybe a year. And we went from, can you help me get better, to, hey, I feel good today. This is just a tune-up. I'll see you when I see you, which is fun to get people to that place.
That's great, man. So I guess weekend warriors too, people who go out and get physical and do a little too much.
That's why I like my title I've given these folks is the industrial athlete. They're out there just kind of making America grind, making it function, bringing income to their households and paying their bills on time. And, they're often passionate about a sport or their family or their hobby. And they just have figured out that, like, wait, I'm using this body, this temple of mine to go about my daily business and provide a paycheck and the meals for myself and my crew. And if they take care of it well, that task of bringing money to the household and food on the table is just so much easier. So I'm just honored to be a part of it.
When you're in pain, man, that's all you can think about is the pain. Creativity gets shut off. Passion for life gets shut off. Get irritable with your wife and kids. Yeah, I've had issues as well, man. That was
you just start grinding after a while. You do the daily grind and you don't enjoy your life as much. You go home and you sit on the couch and feel grumpy with life.
How I found some of the tools we use here is I got in an accident, had an accident and couldn't walk.
Oh, geez.
Couldn't walk. And it's time for me to get real, explore my life, find out what's going on with me. And so I started doing a lot of introspection. I found some really, really different ways to heal myself. So I healed everything holistically, but when I first got an accident, and I didn't go to doctors or anything, I knew somehow or another my body was going to heal itself. Came to that awareness. It would take me 45 minutes to crawl from my bed to the bathroom to stand up to pee. So
you were in a broken state.
And to talk about humbled. That's what had me really become aware of all this other information. So anyway, how do people get in touch with you, dude?
There's several social media platforms. Search Cascade Chiropractic and Wellness. jump on Google, Cascade Chiropractic and Wellness, Portland, Oregon. Our office pops right up. And our easiest email address is info@pdxccw.com. And that's a good place for people to just reach out, ask if questions about what we do or office policy, that stuff.
Do you have people fly in to work with you, or work with people from long distances as well?
Because it is you got to be on my table to get the treatment.
Right.
They do, but it's I can give advice from afar, or there are a few websites. Atlas Orthogonality.com is the Atlas Orthogonal website.
Okay.
So they have a doc finder on there. So you can find somebody that's close to you. And oftentimes if somebody's looking to come from far away, I have a conversation like, is there somebody in your town that's doing this, or an hour away, rather than flying a whole trip out to me? But yeah, I've had people come from all over the world at this point.
Wow.
Indonesia was one, and Australia is another guy.
That's
and
cool.
In the greater area, I see people all the way from Canada down to California and across even into Idaho. But as we get that far out, then there's more docs that are doing it. I say,
Gotcha.
Stay close to home.
Awesome. So I hope you have great success in your business and keep up the great work. And pleasure to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Thank you.